16 months ago, I deleted my social media accounts. In today's video, I'm going to talk about how my life has changed since then. So normally on this channel, I talk about weight loss, and actually social media has been a part of that story. So back in 2015, I started to analyze my social media usage. It was something that before that time, I had really not given it much thought as far as I didn't think it was affecting my weight at all. But I started to see that so many times the things that were stressing me out, I would, feel stressed out and want to go stress eat. It was because I was stressed out by something on social media. But at the same time, I felt like I enjoyed social media, like I was addicted to it. I wanted to use it a lot. So I even used my addiction to social media to help me get steps in. So I thought, okay, well, I'll make a rule for myself that if I want to be on social media, I have to be up walking around and getting my steps in. And that actually worked as a really good motivator. But over time, I did start to see, well, wow, a lot of times when I get on there, I'm getting stressed out. Like, why do I keep doing this to myself? So over time, I just started to use it less and less, especially in 2016. I really cut down on my usage and I was feeling better and better and better. And then fast forward a little bit to 2017, that's when I started this channel. And the common advice when you start any kind of a channel is to, then also start a Facebook page and a Facebook group and have people follow you on Instagram. And, I followed that advice because I thought, well, I do want my message to be out there. Like, I think that this helps people. And so I kind of went with that advice. And so over time, as this channel grew, more people followed me on social media. And then what I started to see was, it was suddenly like I had no private life anymore. It was all very much in the public eye. And when you are posting things on social media, you're basically inviting people to comment on your life. So I quickly started to see that this was a bad idea. The first big thing that I saw was being back on social media again just opened my life up to so much more negativity, just lots of negative posts. And I'm the type of person who I don't so much focus on the positive posts, like the things that stick in my mind are the negative. And those are things that I end up ruminating on. And then also it started to really blur the lines for me between work and my personal life, my family life. And it was just like, I couldn't go on social media just to have fun. It was, it was part of my job. So in 2019, I started to take some steps to cut back on social media. I deleted my Facebook groups that I had started. I also deleted all of my friends on Facebook who I didn't really know from real life, because a lot of people had just, requested to be my friend and I didn't really know them. But, it was just creating, again, more drama. And there were some security type things too, that I was a bit concerned about. So also on my Instagram, did the same thing. I made it a private account. I deleted everyone I didn't know from real life. And that was really helpful. But what I saw was, even after I made it all private and all that, it was still that negative thing of social media. I found again that there's just a lot of negativity there. Even when it's people and you love, there's just a lot of negativity. Plus there's a lot of times there's news stories and stuff that crowd into the feed that I didn't want to see anyway. And then by March of last year, I really started to see how negatively social media was influencing my life. In the past, I'd always kind of thought about the distortion that happens on social media is more along the lines of some people's lives look just so perfect. You're seeing their highlight reel. But then I also saw this flip side to it, where sometimes social media can make the world seem a lot worse and a lot more dangerous and scary than it actually is. For me, I was seeing posts on Instagram and it seemed like all the photos were like empty shelves. And I literally went to the grocery store thinking there's going to be no food there. I warned my kids before we got out of the car, there may be no food. And if not, we will figure something out. And then when I get in the store, food is everywhere. There's an abundance of pretty much everything in the store. They were out of a couple of things, but it was just this moment where I realized, like, wow, social media influenced me to have this totally different perception of the world. And that's not good. And what was crazy was I got back from the store, and what did I do? I just was checking social media more often, more obsessively, more like addicted to it than ever before. And I decided, okay, this has got to change. I mean, my sleep was starting to be affected. And I was just not being present in my own life. You know, I'm sitting here scrolling my feed and I'm not paying attention to my kids. I'm not paying attention to my husband or the outdoors or anything else. I'm just obsessed with the social media. And one thing I did start to do, and I'm glad that I did this, was I started to say, okay, at the end of every session, when I put down my phone, I'm going to ask myself, do I feel better that I went on there, or do I feel worse? Like, do I feel more negative about life, or do I feel a bit more encouraged? And it was like every time I got off of there, I felt more negative. So I decided, you know what, something's got to change. And so I started to really consider deleting my accounts permanently. And I kept holding back because I kind of felt like, in a way, you know, Facebook and all social media is really, you know, it's like the world. It's like the public square. And that's where we should exchange ideas and freedom of speech. Like, you should be able to talk about ideas with people and discuss things back and forth. And not everybody's going to agree. And that's fine. But what I started to see was on social media, people were being censored, like posts were being taken down if it didn't align with a certain point of view. And I started to see, well, okay, so social media isn't really a place for free speech. This is just, you know, a place where speech can be controlled. And I thought, I don't want to be there. And one thing that I thought about was, you know, I would not pay to be on Facebook. Like, I would not pay, like if they went to a model where it was like, you won't see any ads, but you have to pay $15 a month. Like, I would not spend that money on that. And then I thought, you know, but I'm spending a lot of my time on there. My time is worth way more than that. My life is worth way more than that. So those things kind of all led me to just finally say, I'm going to get rid of my accounts. And so I downloaded all my data, which you can do. If you decide to get rid of Facebook and Instagram, you can download all of your data, all your, you know, pictures and everything, because that was the, you know, a big thing that was holding me back. So I downloaded all that, and then I deleted my accounts permanently. And I did it that way. In the past, I had tried like just deleting the apps off my phone. And what would I do? I would just go back and re-download things after a few days and then put them back on my phone and then be using social media all the time again. I also deleted other social media accounts like LinkedIn and Twitter, which I never really used, but I just wanted to get rid of all of them because I really thought, you know, probably what will happen is I will just go to using another service if I don't just delete them all. I mean, and I also thought about YouTube too. I thought about deleting the channel, but at the time, my family's income was really dependent on the income that I generated on here and through my book sales. So I didn't want to do that. I thought that would be really selfish of me towards my family. And also, you know, these videos have helped people. I mean, people say that it has helped and that they enjoy them. And so I decided, you know, I'll keep it. At that time, I had comments turned off anyway, and I wasn't posting to my community tab really. Since then, I have turned comments back on, at least for now. And I've started using the community tab some more. So in that way, I still do have what is probably a little social media in my life, but it's plenty. So you might be wondering, like, well, what has your life been like? And it got better instantaneously. Like the day that I clicked the little button that said permanently delete account, it was like, as soon as I hit that button, it felt like chains broke off of me. It was very freeing to just be like, I'm done with Facebook. Like, I don't have to think about it ever again if I don't want to, which isn't really true, which is what I'll get to in the cons side of the equation. And the increase in the amount of peace in my life since deleting social media has been the number one best part of it. It's just been nice to just have more calm. Just, you know, there's not that constant distraction, you know, because I would pick up my phone all the time, just distracting myself constantly. What I found for myself was once I deleted that and it was no longer an option, you know, it just made my life more peaceful. I didn't feel that need to pick up my phone all the time. Although in the beginning there were, you know, just out of habit, you know, I'd pick up the phone to check it and then I'd think, oh, I don't really have a reason to check it. You know, that there's nothing going on and there's no social media there. And so I found that my life was just more peaceful. I have more time to spend with my kids and with my husband and just outside being in nature. And immediately there was just less drama in my life, and there has been a lot less drama in my life simply because I'm not on there. Like, people tend to be more dramatic online than they are in real life. So I mean, not to say that there's no drama in real life, because there's plenty, but just in general, people are a bit nicer. They're more polite, certainly. And it's just a nicer place to be, I think, just in reality with other people. And that was another thing that I learned too. You know, one of my fears about deleting social media was that I would feel less connected to people, you know, like, because I thought, well, I've got all these friends on Facebook and on Instagram. And then what I realized once I got off of it was, you know, those connections that I had, they were pretty shallow. Like, I was trying to think, like, well, when's the last time I ever had an actual conversation with this person? Well, I hadn't, you know, like maybe I had liked their picture or something, you know, months ago, but it wasn't like a real, what I would call a relationship with people, you know. And so what some people might think of as like a downside of getting rid of social media, the fact that you actually have to make more effort to connect with people, I've actually found to be a positive, not because it's harder to connect with people, but because even though it is more difficult, you know, you may have to, you know, get their phone number, or get their email address or something. You also get to have real conversations with them, you know, like you actually may video chat with people, or, you know, have actual dialogues, which I find to be a lot better than Facebook discussions by a lot. One thing that's been really interesting to me, though, too, has been just how few people do, you know, reach out, try to make that connection, or even like realize that you're gone from social media. I mean, what I found was most people didn't even realize I had deleted it, you know, and it was only after, you know, a long time where some people were like, hey, whatever happened, you know, because people can still, you know, talk to my husband. He's still on Facebook and he does social media to some extent, not to very much of an extent anymore, but it's been interesting to see just, you know, it's like people just don't notice when you're not there. So if that's one of the things you're thinking, like, oh, well, but, you know, people might be like wondering why I left and stuff, they're probably not even going to think about it. But there have been some negatives to this experience. One thing is that you really can't escape Facebook and Instagram completely. Not really. You know, like I said, my husband still has social media to some extent. So sometimes, you know, he'll be talking about something he saw posted, or, you know, just people we know, that usually that's the thing that people talk about is, oh, did you see what so-and-so posted on Facebook? And I don't mind the not knowing, you know, actually I like that I don't know. I find that it's like, wow, it usually reinforces my decision to delete it, because it's like, it was just some sort of drama thing that had they not been on Facebook, they wouldn't have ever known about it, and their life would have been just fine without it. Another thing is I do kind of miss sometimes seeing photos and stuff of various family members. It is more difficult, you know, if you want to see pictures, you kind of have to either, you know, literally go ask them for some photos or something like that. But that's been a pretty minor thing. And the last thing is, it's really easy to just bring in another distraction. Like, so what? You get rid of Facebook and Instagram, but you still may find different ways to ignore the people in your life. Like, you know, it could be podcasts, it could be just TV, music, you know, a book even. So it doesn't mean that just because I, you know, deleted Facebook that suddenly I'm impervious to distractions. There's plenty of things that can do that still. So, you know, my plans going forward, do I plan to get back on there? No. I've still had no desire to get any sort of an account on either of those platforms or any platform really. And I'm not saying that this is for everybody, but it's what's working for me. But I wanted to share my experience because, you know, it did help me on the weight loss journey to just get rid of all the distractions, as many as I could get rid of, and to really focus on making my life better. And if you are considering, you know, getting rid of social media, but you're kind of on the fence, I would highly recommend the documentary called The Social Dilemma. That's available on Netflix, I believe. And also you can check out Cal Newport's talk called Quit Social Media. It's a TED Talk and it's great. It was something that I watched a long time ago that also made me rethink some things about social media. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Certainly for me, quitting social media has been great, both for my mental health and especially for my weight. So thanks for joining me. I'll see you in the next video.